Burrow airs it out. Chase. Hello. Touchdown.
And I got a voice inside that needs to be fed. Causing chaos everywhere I
land. Are two of the best historically, just not thus far. Against these receivers.
Making adjustments again, and there is Smith rolling free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ohio Sports Talk. We have a special guest of mine on the show this evening, a former coach of mine, a former teacher of mine, started out as a substitute, and developed into a mentor when I joined the Marine Corps, and so much more. Coach Nicholas Flynn, welcome to the program, sir. How are you this evening?
Jordan, I could not be more happy to be with you. So much pride in everything you did with the Marine Corps and what you do now. And I'll tell you, man, it's great to be with you to talk a little ball, talk a little wrestling, talk a little everything tonight.
Absolutely, sir. And who we repping here? I know you just got done coaching, so I'll let you take your minute here and tell us
Eaton Cross Country. Eaton Cross Country. I am the head coach of Eaton Cross Country. I'm excited to take over first year. Very proud program. Have a state title in the history there in 2001. I'm taking over for a guy that had been there for 42 years. So, I was lucky enough to work with him for 16 years. Little shout out to Randy McKinney. That's my guy, man. And he taught me everything I know. And hopefully I can do some great things for the kids this year. I'm really, really excited about it.
We're excited. We'll definitely track it. Stay in touch. Let us know. We support all local high schools, even outside of Alter, where I've coached. And we'll post stuff daily for you guys.
Absolutely. No.
But yeah,
hey, I will keep you guys up to date. Absolutely.
We can't wait. We'll dive right in here. We're going to talk a little wrestling. WWE SummerSlam just ended over in Brooklyn, and it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Wrestling's always been in Doug and I's, my co-host's DNA. We've always followed it since we were kids. Even now into my 30s, it has not changed. I caught you on a couple of your comments. You thought Triple H was going to let us down. Let's just start up. Well, what'd you think of the card? Night one, we started out kind of big there, and what'd you think?
I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked night one. I will say that. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was not behind the Cena heel turn at all. I thought that was just a terrible bit of booking by Triple H. And I think that John Cena kind of actually gave them a way out with, what a promo on SmackDown on Friday night. Set things up and said basically that he'd been sold a bad bill of goods there. And he said, you know what? I want to be the real John Cena again. And he's going out like he should. In my opinion, I'm a big Cody Rhodes guy. I love the hard work of Cody Rhodes. I know he comes from one of the first families of wrestling in the Rhodes family. Dusty Rhodes was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I'm kind of a big guy, and, he was kind of a big guy, and he doesn't look exactly like the athlete like he would tell you of today. But you know what? He was incredibly athletic and did such great things and such great storytelling and such great promos. So big Cody Rhodes guy. Maybe it's because I'm a Dusty Rhodes guy, but Cody won me over when he went into the independents and AEW. And, I was really, really interested to see what Triple H did with things. And it's kind of like he took out the eraser on the pencil and, made up for some mistakes that I feel like he'd made.
And I agree with you there. When The Rock wasn't present, towards the end of the heel turn for John Cena, and I felt like that storyline just went south. It didn't really resonate anymore. Even though Travis Scott came out and hit him with the belt, whatever. It just didn't resonate. It didn't have the same pop. It didn't have the same feel. I felt like it had been done before many years ago when Dolph Ziggler wanted to ruin wrestling and the persona and wearing the belt backwards and stuff of that nature. Now he's Nick Namath over on TNA doing great things. But
yep.
But yeah, I was happy to see night one. My wife actually enjoyed night one a little bit more than night two, but I have a tendency to agree with her sometimes. But
well, that's good for you that way.
I have learned, yes, a happy wife is a happy life. That is something for the rest of my life. My kids enjoy night one too, so I put them into it. I have 2 daughters now, so it's totally different world for me, Coach. We'll talk offline about it.
Oh, absolutely. Things change like that. No, I don't have any kids, but the kids that I coach are kind of my tribe there, and I know, man, they've changed considerably, and I try to keep them happy too. If they are happy with things, it makes my life a whole lot easier too. I do want to shout out Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. I love that storyline, man. I think that they're doing some good work there. The women's division is very, very healthy right now. Tiffany Stratton and some of the great performers that they have. I'm leaving people out. Bianca Belair and I with such great talent there, you almost can forget a couple of them because there's just so much. And then I do love what they've got going with this Solo Sikoa and kind of the Bloodline Part 2 there and everything, and
Part 20.
Part 20. Roman Reigns, it was great to see him. Brock Lesnar, like, I know that's one of the great nemesises of John Cena's career, but I'm not especially excited about that, but I'm sure I'll get excited when it comes up,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, minus the outside noise and everything that he may or may not have been involved in with the previous regime, I was happy to see him come back. I can feel like he can end his career on his own terms too, working with people outside of John Cena storyline if he's going to stick around that long. But that the women's, I thought the women's blew the roof off the place. Jade Cargill's match with Tiffany Stratton was the match of the night on night one, in my opinion. I thought it was great. I thought, it could have went either way for me. I thought Jade was going to win the belt. They bring her over from AEW. She's been in for a little while. She's been a tag team champion with Bianca, and they've done the different storylines and the betrayal, and they've done great work. But I thought she was going to beat Tiffany, but Tiffany put on a show. Tiffany definitely changed my mind about her retaining the belt at least a little bit longer or through WrestleMania, because SummerSlam is kind of the beginning of the WrestleMania storylines, traditionally speaking. I'm glad you shouted out to the women's division. And I love the Charlotte Flair. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I absolutely, and I have to shout out John Cena. Big match John was back. And I'm telling you right now, like that match between he and Cody Rhodes, I thought there was a chance that it could be a stinker. It was not a stinker. I was sitting on the edge of my seat from the very beginning of the match, man. They had me all the way. I thought, think about it. Like, I'm a guy that's now almost 50 years old, and John Cena was taking some bumps that you don't see guys half his age take. And big ups to Cena, man. He is one of the all-time greats. there have to be some white meat baby faces out there, man. That's just what it is. And that's what Cody is. Cody's good at it, man. Like, people get, they think that everybody's got to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin and have an edge, Like, I love Stone Cold, man. I loved Rock. They both had an edge, but I'm just telling you right now that John Cena and Cody Rhodes are two of the best white meat baby faces that we've seen since Hulk Hogan back in the 80s and early 90s.
I couldn't have said that better myself. And that match, that brought everything. They did technical, classic F5s, classic, crossroads, all their regular finishers. He was bouncing off the ropes. They used the street fight rules. They used the turnbuckle. They choked each other out with the ropes. We got some steel steps. We got like you said, the major bumps on the apron. The going off stage and coming back out with him on his, holding him on his shoulders for that long.
Oh, what a spot coming up through the elevator there. That was incredible. Nice spot.
Oh, they couldn't have filmed it any better. And they looked like they had rehearsed this really well. It looked, just really spot on. I love the respect before the match. I love we kind of got that when Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair, where he said, "I love you," and then kicked him. We got that from Cody Rhodes, where
the salute him. Yes, absolutely, the salute. That was everything.
And then finish him off, and then the good sports. I'm glad it was clean. I was worried about that there would be a bunch of kind of circus interference. I'm glad Triple H just let it slide, let it go. Let the guys do what they do best, and it gave the performance of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say more about it. I'm happy with the state of wrestling right now, although, like, sometimes the SmackDowns and Raws, they're not as exciting as they used to be to me. I'm a big PLE guy. Give me a PLE. I'm back in the game now. They've got my attention. Hopefully they do something nice with it. I saw last night a little LA Knight. Yeah, saw him last night. And absolutely. And I'm just telling you, I thought it was some good stuff, like they use the momentum, and sometimes they lose momentum. And I think that they did some good stuff with it. So it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan right now. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Oh, 100%. And I'm sure we'll be chatting offline and especially on Twitter all about it when, especially with Clash of Paris close. We'll see, what that brings, especially with LA Knight, now in the hunt, since he was the last one to pin Seth Rollins before the fake injury, which shout out to Seth Rollins and his family for, faking it in the park with his kid, faking it all around the house. Those little videos and clips.
Did you hear the little story on that? Like, he had to tell his daughter that it was fake and, or not fake. It was acting like it was a boo-boo. And she went and told her preschool teacher. So lucky that her preschool teacher isn't hooked up with Dave Meltzer. So, we would have had that on the internet immediately.
Oh yeah, that would have been all over. If not if not TKO paid hush money to everybody, before it broke out. You never know what's behind the scene. We'll see it on some kind of show later on in the middle of the year. They'll
sure.
All that'll come out. It'll be interesting. But any more to say about SummerSlam or the state of wrestling, Coach?
Nah, it might be time to talk about the Red Legs. You ready for a little Red Legs talk?
Let's dive in. Our beloved Reds. Things aren't getting any better. The Bristol, I think the Bristol game, and we curse on this program, so I'm going to drop one. I'm going to put $1 in a jar. Sorry to my kids. The Bristol game fucked us, Coach. We lost a start. We lost a burn start. We wore down the bullpen. We had guys in scoring position that had that game continue to proceed. I understand it was player safety, and that's number one. I'm glad they shut it down. But, you play in the first inning, then you wake up. The Reds had no hotel accommodations, coach. They weren't ready to stay the other night, which was mind-blowing that they didn't have a backup plan.
No.
But, in just that Sunday game, it looked like it. It put us, 3.5 games back before the win last night. And, we'll fast forward a little bit here. Well, no, I want to take it back here. I was pleasantly surprised. We'll go at the trade deadline. Getting the third baseman from Pittsburgh, I was pleasantly surprised because he's a defensive guy. The Reds are top 5 in errors in MLB, both in NL and AL. So, picking up Bryant was really good to see. He's not a power hitter that we wanted, but he's a defensive guy that we needed. Picking up, I'm gonna butcher his name, Zach Littell, 8-8, 3.58 ERA. I was happy to see it, and then picking up Miguel, a left fielder, which I didn't think we needed a fielder, but I don't run a GM on a team, so I wasn't unsurprised, but it just wasn't the bat that I thought we were going to get. And let me get your thoughts on the trades, Coach.
Well, on the trades, first of all, I'm really happy that people of your generation are still Reds fans because, I got to live through the 1990 World Series and, Pete Rose, 4192 was like one of my first big memories when I was like 7 years old and, 7, 8 years old. And, I had such a great time to be a Reds fan. Eric Davis, Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin, you can go on and on with the guys that I got to see. And the Reds were at one point, they had the highest payroll in baseball. And, it's the first professional team. Okay. And, I think that it's very clear. I know that Bryce Harper got a little upset about it. I'm going to keep it clean because, I know I'm a teacher and coach, so I'm going to keep it clean. But, I just don't understand why Bryce Harper the other day would be so angry at the commissioner to tell him to get out of the room and use some choice words. And, they're talking about a salary cap. And as a player, I know that you don't want your salary capped. I know that you want to make as much money on the free market as you can. But look how successful the NFL is with the salary cap. There's a reason why the NFL is the most popular thing going. It's because you have a salary cap. It's because the Cincinnati Bengals have a chance if their front office makes some good moves. For the longest time, the Bengals made some really bad moves. I'm a Commanders fan. I grew up a Washington Redskins fan. But, it was one of those things where I just fell in love with John Riggins. But I followed the Bengals. And I love Joe Burrow. I love T. Higgins. I love all those guys. I love Jamar Chase. What an incredible organization to watch now if you're a kid. And I understand why the Bengals have all these kids in my class, wearing their gear because they're excited about them. They're excited. I thought about it the other day. Jay Bruce hit his walk-off home run in 2011. Okay. His walk-off home run to win the NL Central, 2011. That's 14 years ago. Okay. Unless you're, a little longer in the tooth, like myself, or, you're getting a little long in the tooth too there, Jordan.
That's true.
But, it's one of those things where man, I just, these kids are going, I know a lot of the kids that I have in class that love to go to Reds games, but they're not used to, that they just go because they're going to get some Skyline or a piece of La Rosa's, or, they don't understand that the Reds used to be so fun to watch, man. I do not know what it is about Cincinnati hating on superstars, but Ellie De La Cruz is a superstar. he is a superstar, and he's, I know I'm going on a long drawn out answer here to your question, but like,
this is what we do.
oh, yeah, exactly. Like, I just have such a place in my heart for the Reds because they were everything to me growing up, man. Like, I would take the sports section onto my school bus and I would read the sports section every day. And I was lucky enough to read earlier, than some of my classmates. So I was reading at like 3 and 4 years old. So I'm on the bus and I'm telling them what happened in the game. The newspaper, because I remember the Dayton Daily News always had either the smiling red or the frowning red as far as, what happened that night before. And, like, it was such a great thing when I could tell my classmates and everything that they'd won. Like, I was at Camp Kern. Shout out to my guys from HV Bear Elementary at Camp Kern. And we're at Camp Kern in game 2 of the World Series. And they refused to let us have any televisions or radios, even though they knew how crazy we were about the Reds. But my table group was the Nasty Boys. And we had a kid that went to game 2. His name's Eric Jones. Shout out Eric Jones. Eric Jones came in and he told us who won game 2, and we erupted. Told us all about Joe Oliver and his, double down the line against Dennis Eckersley and everything. And I think about what shaped me as a Reds fan, and then I think about what we do as a front office now, to kind of get back to what you were saying. Like, I think you can tell that I'm a passionate Reds fan. I think I've been passionate throughout the entire thing that I've just said here, but the Reds mean a lot, and they mean a lot to this working class Ohio people that I belong to. And, it's always been something like, my mom and dad are old enough now that, that is the big thing for them. They can't wait for the Reds to come on every night. They absolutely, they center their day around it. During the All-Star break, my dad was like, Mom, when are the Reds going to be back on? He missed them. And, like, I think of all that I went through, and then you have, like, it's great to get the third baseman, Brian. And, it's great to get Miguel Andujar, and it's great to get Littell. But, I think that they're pieces that we can use. I kind of disagree with them sending down Will Benson. I think Will Benson was just starting to feel himself a little bit, starting to hit a little bit more. But, the Reds have painted themselves into this corner, and they've got such great stuff in their farm system and everything. Like, we've got prospects to trade for things, but we don't want to add extra money. I was really on the sell the team, Bob. I really was on that train for a long time. And I understand.
Oh, we're still on it at Ohio Sports Talk.
I know you are. I listen, like, you send me the shows, or I find them on my own, and I got to support you and Doug, man. Like, I'll get on to how great you guys are later on here, but like, sell the team, Bob, man. Like, this like, you can see how much Cincinnati fans want a great team. They want it so bad. Like, there was a playoff like atmosphere. It must have been 3 or 4 games ago where, like, people were just so excited to see the Reds in a, within, at that point, 1 or 2 games of the wild card. And we're talking about trying to, compete for a wild card. We're not talking about competing for the NL Central. The Milwaukee Brewers spend less money than us. They just have a better front office.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to right now.
Yeah. Like, I like Nick Kroll. I actually think Nick Kroll is a good guy. But I understand what you're saying. But, I think ultimately, I don't think Nick Kroll goes to work and thinks, you know what, I want the Reds to lose. I think he really wants the Reds to win, and I think that he would make some good moves, but his hands are tied behind his back by the Castellini family. when Phil said what he said, I didn't go to a game for a year. When Phil said what he said about, where else you gonna go?
We were on that too. I
Yeah,
100% set out that season.
I didn't go to a game for a year, and I almost felt guilty because, like, I missed a year of Joey Votto's career because I was mad at Phil Castellini. And I wasn't mad at Joey Votto. I love Joey Votto. I think Joey Votto is such a great example of what it's about to be a baseball player and an athlete in this country that actually cares about something other than himself. And too many times we don't have that. I think Joey Votto was a good role model for the kids. Like, constantly working. Now, yeah, he had some expletive-filled rants and stuff when he wasn't going right, but he just cared so much, man. That's why, um, you know, that's why the people of Cincinnati loved Pete Rose, man. He cared so much. His famous quote is, he'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit if he could win the ball game. And, I understand, like, that's working class Cincinnati, man. Like, and
Yes.
Cincinnati and Dayton aren't that much different, man. Cincinnati and Dayton are a connection of each other. And, there's a lot of shared history there. There's a lot of shared companies that moms and dads and everything worked for. And, I understand, unfortunately, the world's changed in those times. But, I, I can say it that I want profit sharing or profit sharing. I want salary cap in baseball, but I also want the Reds to have a front office that is going to do things to try to help the ball club, man. Like, but they're afraid to add any kind of money because, like, if somebody told, it's not like Nick Kroll can, like, just go ahead and do whatever he wants to. He can't. The Castellini family has to sign off on every one of these deals. And it's disappointing.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And I'm glad you brought up Dayton because you're talking about your era. My era of becoming a hardcore Reds fan began when the Dayton Dragons formed in the 2000s as the single A team for the Cincinnati Reds. And I got to see all those guys, Adam Dunn, Kearns, Willie Mopina, so on and so forth, start at Dayton. And they were just, seeing Adam Dunn, and we saw him do it in the pros, but to see him just absolutely destroy pitchers in the single A level was something so special, man. And that's what got my fascination because the tickets were affordable. We lived in Miamisburg. My parents said, get in the car. We'll go on a, my dad worked for Heidelberg my dad worked for Heidelberg for 38 years, and they were a heavy sponsor of Dayton Dragons when they first started. They had the Clydesdales were staying in the warehouse over in Dayton when they had the parades and nature. But that just started my fandom because where'd they go? We did get to watch them in Sarasota when they went to Louisville, but man, when they popped up on the Reds roster, I was like, man, we watched him like a month ago over here or a year ago, and that started the true fandom of me and Doug because we got to watch him on this level. Now we get to take a trip down to Cincinnati and see the guys who signed our baseball. Back when it was affordable, you didn't have to wait in a huge line in Dayton for Dunn to sign my baseball, or even when Willie Moe won a World Series ring with the Red Sox after he got traded. That means a lot. Now I got a glove signed by him. So, that's really started my fandom. I'm glad you brought up that relation, and I hope a lot of kids, on the Dayton level get to track some of these guys, especially when Reese Hines came through and just kind of did the Dunn thing over in single A, still doing the Dunn thing in triple A if he can be consistent in the pros. God, I want him to be consistent.
Unfortunately,
pitchers
he
have
seems
him
like
pegged.
he might be a quadruple A ball player sometimes, though.
No, you're 100% right on that. I mean, they've given him chances. They let him pinch in a couple times this year. It hasn't come through. We saw his magical 5-game stretch last year where he hit like 16 RBIs, which was incredible. But outside of that, it kind of fizzled out. Doug's got a Reese Hines jersey personally made. It's hanging up in the closet now.
Oh no! Yeah,
I told him not to do it.
Come out a
Coach.
whole lot. Hey, I know you did. Sometimes you can't talk sense into Doug, man. God love him. I could talk all day about you guys and the kids in Miamisburg. I was lucky enough to grow up in Miamisburg, and I'll shout out a little bit of, I had some great coaches I was on the squad with, I wasn't on the team, but I was a team manager with Craig Morris was our head basketball coach during those days. And, my football coach was Tim Lewis. Those guys are legends to me, man. And I was hoping that maybe I could be a little something like that to you guys when I was over there. I was only subbing and everything, but I feel like I really made an impact with you guys and the guys that are your age. They're getting to be in their 30s, early 30s and stuff, and they still reach out to me on Facebook all the time and everything, and it just warms my heart, man. Like it's crazy. You boys, wonderful. It was great being able to watch, Doug and, play basketball and, watch you play football and things. And, I just really, really enjoyed that thing. And thanks so much for being a part of one of the reasons that I wanted to get into coaching and teaching.
No, and we thank you. And like I said,
I think we got a little bit of a connectivity problem here.
Oh, can you hear me? It'll correct itself. I can still hear you.
Oh man, unfortunately, I can't hear you right now, Jordan.
Oh, it's all right. It'll come back. Can you hear me? He's still working through it, but his picture and sound for everybody else on the cast, we can still hear Coach Flynn.
All right. Hey, I got you back. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm actually in Richmond, Indiana right now. I went and grabbed dinner with one of my former track throwers that I used to have here at Eaton and everything. And, I try to give back to the community there in Eaton, and I still love to give back to, like I was talking about, you and your class and everything. Like, you guys had a big impression on me because I wouldn't have decided to go into education and coaching if it hadn't been for the interactions I had with you. Shout out to my boys, Kevin Patillo. No, I know. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like, Dakota Iron Necklace, God rest his soul, man. Like, I think of you guys when I think about why I got into this. They always ask you, what's your why, and you guys are my why, man. Like, you guys, like, I had to take a leap of faith. I already had a degree, man. I didn't have to go back to school. I didn't have to go back to the University of Dayton. But I went back to the University of Dayton. I got my education degree, and you know what? I've been teaching, for the last 16 years in Eaton, and it's a great community. I've been lucky enough to be part of the cross country program there for the last 16 years. The last 17 for the track program. I was part of the basketball program. I don't want to forget to shout out while I'm on here. Shout out to the Troy Trojans, though. I know I'm wearing my Eaton today, but I am a Troy Trojan as well. I've been there for the last 7 years helping Marquez coach basketball there. I have to say a big shout out to Marquez. He's been a great, great mentor to me and, the guys that I coach with, Caleb South, Dre Hudson, Tyler Wright. They've become even more than co-coaches with me. They've become family. And, like, it's great. I've got a cross country family, I've got a basketball family, and I've got a track family. And, my heart is full with all that. And it would not be
Hey,
something that had happened had it not been for the Jordan Maxons and, the people like
I
you.
got a text message just now. Mike Wiley says hello. He is watching
Oh
right
my
now.
God, Mike. Mike, you're going to make me cry, man. Love you, man. Love you guys. You guys are the reason, man. You guys are my why, like I said. So shout out to Mike. Mike, I was lucky enough to be along for the ride when he won his second state title in the 300-meter hurdles. What a wonderful athlete Mike was. I'm sure he's still a great, wonderful athlete. I'm sure he could beat me in a sprint right now. I can tell you that much.
Hey, I always pace myself. If I finished a few seconds behind Mike Wiley, I did okay on that rep, and that was the point of the drill. Was if I was just a few steps behind him, I did all right.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. I was lucky enough to come back at a time where Miamisburg was changing a little bit and demographically and everything, but like the kids, you guys were wonderful to me, and you made me want to be a teacher and coach. And man, I'm so happy that I've done that. Like, it's been a very fulfilling last, total 18 years that I've coached, because I got to coach you guys my first year. So you guys were some of my first, got to have a little Campiones up in the press box as we were watching the Miamisburg baseball team battle. I'll always remember that with my boys. Shout out to my boy Greg Lovins. I was talking with Greg the other day. I love old Greg, man, and I need to get together with him. I know that we had some good times during my time there at Miamisburg. Now,
100%. I remember meeting you as a sub. Go ahead.
No, go. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember
I'm
meeting
sorry.
you as a substitute teacher. That was my first interaction.
Oh yeah, I was subbing there as I was going back to the University of Dayton
class.
Yep, I was subbing as
and
I was going back.
Then I met you in the weight room.
Yes, and
I was some scrawny guy my freshman year. I couldn't even bench the bar, and when I graduated, I was benching 300 pounds and I was squatting over 300. And that was all you guys, man. You guys pushed me to the test. You got me ready for the Marine Corps. I got to play football for the junior college Marine Corps team for 2 years, and you sprung me for a 10-year career. So, you guys gave me all the equipment and everything necessary to just take off. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, with the 960 viewers we have on, thank you, Coach, and I always love you guys for that.
Absolutely. Some people have to do their job. I get to do my job, and I got to do my job with you guys. You guys inspired me to go out and do what I've done, and it's been wonderful. A whole new generation of kids right now that inspire me every day to go in. So, my kids at Eaton Cross Country, they challenge me, but hopefully I challenge them too and everything. But much love to my Miamisburg Vikings, man. They, once a Viking, always a Viking. You know how that is, Jordan.
100%, Coach. And David, but before we end this evening, and it's been a pure joy. I'm glad to have you on. We'll definitely schedule you on again as sports season progresses. And do you have anything else to say to our viewers, or anything you want to hang off with?
I do. I think you guys are doing a great job, man. I enjoy watching you guys. It's always awesome to see you guys, to see Bronson Arroyo and to see Jim Tressel on here, and to even be mentioned in the same sentence with those guys as a guest on the show. And for you guys to even think of me that much, that's awesome. I want to definitely shout out my Ohio State Buckeyes. I know we didn't get to talk much about them, but Julian Sane, I'm telling you, there are people that are doubting Julian. I think Julian's going to have a big year. I think Julian's going to have a big year. He's throwing it downfield to JJ, man. I think we're going to see some good things out of the Buckeyes. Now, yeah, it's hard to replace Jack Sawyers of the world and JT Tuamaloa, but, like, that's what we do. Like, what a magical run from the Buckeyes last year. But do me a favor, get back with me. I know that there's a few of you guys that are Miamisburg guys that are on here watching and everything. Much love to you. Much love to my Eaton Eagles cross country team. And, in the spring, we'll have a little junior high track team. And then, much love to my Troy Trojans, man. 7 years there, and it feels like day one every day. They've taken me into the family there, and it means so much. Marquez is just, he's wonderful, and we're hoping for a really good follow-up to our season last year at 14-9. So hopefully we can go ahead and make some hay this year. But I don't want to turn it into a high school sports fest here. I want to, and a love fest
No,
to
you're
Miamisburg
okay.
and all my boys. But you guys are the bomb, man. Keep being the bomb. Keep taking care of each other out there. Much love to everybody, man. I'm so happy that I got to do this with you, Jordan. Jordan, I owe you dinner. You don't owe me dinner. I owe you dinner. We'll get out there. I'll grab you a little dinner. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm getting choked up, but that's how I am.
Coach. That's the way you guys make me, man. And things weren't always easy in my upbringing. I challenged you guys as coaches as well, in and out of the classroom. You guys responded, and you guys forged and gave me a foundation to the man I am today. And that's something that I always tell my kids, and that's something I tell the kids now that I coach. I coach because of you, and I'm finishing my teaching degree as we speak because of you. And never forget that. And I hope I hope this football season and last football season I made you proud, and I continue to make you proud because you guys put your stamp on me, and I always want to give that stamp back for the future.
Make me proud every day, brother. Make me proud every day. Love you, Dougie. I know you'll watch this. I hope you're doing all right, man. We'll have to do it where we're all three on.
We'll definitely schedule it, Coach. And thank you to our 1,001 live viewers. You can hit that subscribe button on YouTube, retweet it on X. We're on Facebook. We're
hit
on Spotify,
that subscribe down there. Hit the subscribe.
We'll have Coach Flynn back on. This has been the Coach Jordan Maxson. This has been the Coach Nicholas Flynn. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a great evening.